Well, it is time for me to piss off some more Costco hearing care providers again. Hey guys, welcome back to the DrCliffAuD vlog. This is vlog number 158. I want to start off by apologizing for not publishing a vlog last week. I was going to be publishing my vlog about this new announcement on this project that I've been working on, but we really don't want to make the announcement until we release the press release officially announcing it. And that will happen in early March. If you really dug deep on some of my YouTube shorts and videos there, you might be able to figure out what I'm going to be announcing. So if you want to scour that, be my guest. But I'm not going to be making an official announcement on my vlog until like the first or second week of March is what I'm guessing. But I actually had a really busy past couple of weeks in the clinic, and then having an event that I had to go to that was absolutely fantastic, that actually had to do with the announcement that I'm going to be making. But in today's video, I really want to talk about really poor audiologic care. And just so you guys know, I am not just talking about Costco in this video, I'm actually talking about private practice audiologists in this video as well. So take note of that for all of you people who get upset anytime I mention anything possibly negative about Costco. I'm going to do you guys a favor and talk negatively about private practice audiology as well. And so let's just jump right into it. So I have a patient who lives down in Phoenix for maybe a couple of months out of the year. I started treating this gentleman about 4 years ago. He ended up doing really good with hearing treatment. He doesn't have the best word recognition scores, so his benefit is somewhat limited in that sense. And I've had discussions with him about, maybe we want to consider cochlear implantation with you, kind of encourage like him learning more about it, me taking time to explain it to him and what it all means. And he just was not on board with it. And he's not been on board with it for the past 4 years. Nonetheless, I tested him a little over a year ago here in Phoenix. Nothing had changed with his hearing. We tested his hearing devices, making sure they were still functioning the right way, making sure his programming was all set up, because then he goes to live in a different state for like 9 or 10 months out of the year. And so he ended up scheduling, I don't know, maybe like a month ago or so to get on my schedule a couple weeks ago. And so he ends up coming in and he's like, so I've not been hearing very well. I ended up going to a clinic in my home state, and they tested my hearing and they said, well, your hearing hasn't changed at all, and the only thing we can really do is increase the volume of your hearing aids. So that's what they did. They increased the volume of his hearing aids, and he's like, yeah, I think it's even worse after they increased the volume of my hearing aids. And on top of that, they're like, well, your word recognition scores are not very good, and now that you're, not perceiving it like you're hearing worse with your hearing aids, maybe it's time for you to go in for a cochlear implant evaluation. So he agrees to go in for a cochlear implant evaluation. And when he goes in for the cochlear implant evaluation, they're using his hearing aids, fit and programmed well, was treated by me, was treated by this other audiologist, and goes in for this cochlear implant evaluation. And he is confirmed to be a cochlear implant candidate with the new Medicare guidelines to be implanted. And so he's like, okay, well, it seems like that's the next thing on my list. I'm going to have to get implanted. So he does a ton of research. And then he comes back in to see me and he's like, he wants to talk about it. He's like, okay, here's the thing. I went to a clinic up in my home state. I told them I wasn't hearing very well. They retested my hearing. Here's the results. It's not any different from the previous test that he got in my clinic a year ago. And he's like, they sent me off for a cochlear implant evaluation. I did qualify for a cochlear implant, and that Cochlear Implant Center has been reaching out to see if I want to get scheduled to come in and continue on with that process of getting a cochlear implant. Now, just so you guys know, I'm a huge fan of cochlear implants. Did a whole series on cochlear implants a couple weeks ago on the Dr. Cliff Show. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But he's still a little like in this research phase of like, I'm not really sure I want to do this. I was hearing really well as he wanted to hear with his hearing aids before he started going downhill last year. And so I'm like, something doesn't make sense. Your hearing has not changed significantly. They made some adjustments in the programming, actually made it worse. And so I'm like, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like something is not functioning right inside of the hearing aids themselves. So what I do in this particular instance is, well, we have an audiogram that was just a couple months ago, and I'm like, well, we know that that hasn't changed, so what are the other variables that could have potentially changed? Well, maybe there's debris and buildup inside of the hearing aids. That is unlikely because that provider, he said that they did a cleaning on his hearing aids, so that's not likely the case. And to go through cochlear implant evaluation, they would have checked his hearing aids too to make sure that they were actually clean before going through all of this testing that requires you to use your hearing aids and be in the best aided condition. So, boy, long story, right? So I'm like, you know what? Sounds like the hearing aids might be having an issue internally. So I end up taking them into our back office, which is where we have our test boxes. Now, a test box is something that we can play a calibrated sound through a hearing aid and measure the output of that hearing aid. We can actually measure output, gain, distortion levels, and equivalent input noise. And so once we identify the specs of these hearing aids, when we run it through this testing, we can compare those outcomes of this testing to the actual spec sheets from the manufacturer. And we know that we should be within certain tolerance ranges of the specs from the manufacturer. And if we're not, it means that the hearing aids are malfunctioning, at which point it doesn't matter if they're programmed right, it doesn't matter if they're turning on, if they create sound, none of that matters. What matters is that the hearing aids cannot reproduce sound cleanly inside of someone's ears. So I run this test, and I might even show a screenshot of this for this patient. I ran this test, and these curves should look like this, but they actually ended up looking more like this. In fact, this is exactly what they ended up looking like. The problem here is that, and so let me rewind a second. I thought after I did the test on his hearing aids that I was messing something up because I had never seen a hearing aid, and in fact, two hearing aids test that poorly at the same time. I'm like, I've got to be doing something wrong. Our test box has got to be jacked up. These hearing aid, like maybe I ran the test inappropriately. I went and grabbed my audiology assistant. I'm like, hey, listen, you test more hearing aids than I do at this point. What did I mess up with this testing? She's like, no, like this is all legit. You did the test the right way. I'm just confirming it for you. And I'm like, that's what I thought, unfortunately. So basically at that point, I'm like, okay, well, I can't send this patient out of my office with hearing aids this bad. I mean, he's got really bad hearing. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get a pair of loaner hearing aids that we know are functioning the right way. Let's program them with his settings from when I programmed him a year ago, and let's put them back in his ears, at least so he has something to get by while I can get his hearing aids repaired. So that's what I do. I take the loaner hearing aids back into the room and put them in his ears, and he's like, oh my gosh, like my hearing's back. Like this is great. Like if I could hear like this, I wouldn't need to get a cochlear implant. And I'm like, huh, yeah, well, here's what I found. What I found is that when you went into the audiology clinic, they didn't do a diagnostic test on your hearing aids to determine that they were mechanically malfunctioning. You can increase or decrease, adjust volume, settings, whatever you want to. None of that was ever going to matter because the hearing aids were not meeting manufacturer specifications. On top of that, they ended up referring you based on what they saw and what you were communicating with them there without doing the test box measures. They were like, well, seems like you got to get a cochlear implant. So they sent him to get a cochlear implant, and he went through cochlear implant testing with hearing aids that were completely malfunctioning. And so of course he's going to be a candidate for a cochlear implant when he's wearing hearing aids that are actually making sound worse. He literally is like, I hear better if I take them out of my ears. And it's crazy to me to think that someone could qualify for a cochlear implant because they didn't check to see if his hearing aids were mechanically functioning the right way. And I know I'm getting kind of like out of control here, but like this is basic audiology 101. We literally learn running test box measures in our first semester of grad school if you went to any kind of school that is worth their weight in salt, right? So, I don't even know if worth their weight in salt is an actual saying, but whatever, like I'm super fired up, obviously, about this. The thing is that not very many clinics will run test box measures on hearing aids. So anytime a patient comes in and says, I don't think I'm hearing well, and you test their hearing and it's like, well, it's not their hearing has stayed the same. Their hearing aids, from a cleaning perspective, they're in good condition from that perspective. I can still hear sound coming out of them. So basically it's like, sorry, you're just not going to do as well with hearing treatment. It blows my mind how you wouldn't take those devices through diagnostic testing in a test box. That is the only other variable that you're missing, and you could have saved this person a ton of time and energy and heartache and like just destroying his hope for what he could get with his hearing aids versus having to go through this entire arduous process of getting a cochlear implant. Now, again, I love cochlear implants, but if you are not a candidate for a cochlear implant, like that is something that can be soul crushing for an individual. So what happens? Well, we fit this individual with loaner devices. He's super happy. He's like, you know what? Instead of getting my other ones repaired, I just want to get a new set of hearing aids. So we end up putting him in a newer set of hearing aids. Just got done with his fitting today. And he's like the happiest dude alive. He's like, I'm so thankful that I don't have to go through cochlear implant surgery, that I don't have to figure out which cochlear implant's right for me, or any of that stuff. I just get to wear my hearing aids and be happy the way that I was for the past 4 years before things went wrong with the actual devices. And so I share this because there's a lot of good audiologists out there, and we just have to do the right thing for our patients. Doing test box measures is doing the right thing. The biggest barrier that people have coming into the Hearing Up Network, which is my network of hearing care professionals who follow comprehensive best practices, is that they're not doing test box measures. And so all they have to do is start adding that one variable in to their treatment for their patients, and they end up getting substantially better outcomes for their patients. They can take better care of their patients when they do this. Since COVID happened, 20% of the hearing aids that come into my clinic from a hearing aid manufacturer, whether they're brand new or whether they're repaired, do not meet manufacturer specifications, which means there's a lot of individuals out there that are not getting the hearing aid performance that they should be getting because their hearing aids are not meeting specs. All right, so, oh boy, all right, do I have enough energy to talk about Costco in this one? I'm gonna have to summon the energy somehow. I've been burning the candle on both ends for the last couple of weeks here, but I feel like I need to share this. So it's been a while since I've talked about Costco. I think the last time I talked to you about it is that, they had to basically get rid of their Kirkland Signature 10.0 hearing aids because they were a complete disaster with battery issues and things like that. People have been trying to, hound me online saying, oh, they didn't have issues with the hearing aids. I'm like, they had issues with the hearing aids and they got rid of them, okay? So, but that's not even what I have the problem with, because I think that Costco has a lot of good hearing aids there. It's just like, how do you implement the care with those hearing aids? And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So I've had 2 patients over the course of the past 2 weeks who've come in with their Costco hearing aids and are like, Cliff, we got these Costco hearing aids. You said good things about Costco, so we got them. And that's awesome. You said there's some of the best hearing aids out there. And I'm like, I didn't really say that, but that's awesome. I'm super glad that you got treated with your Costco hearing aids. And so they end up coming in because they're like, yeah, we're not really sure that we're getting the full benefit out of these hearing aids based on how you talked about them in your videos. And, one of them was like, and they're actually, came together, and one of them's like, yeah, I don't even think that these are working at all. Like I feel like when I put them in my ears, they don't really do anything. And so I might as well just not wear them. I'm like, okay, this seems weird. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take you through comprehensive audiologic testing. I'm going to determine what your prescription for your hearing loss is. We're going to take your hearing aids through diagnostic testing in a test box to see if mechanically they're functioning the right way. And then I'm going to do some verification to see how well they programmed your hearing aids to your hearing loss prescription to see if you're getting the full amount of benefit out of them. So that's what we do. We do the first one first, and here's the results that we got with real-ear measurements. Ideally, you want the solid line to be overlapping with the hash mark line as closely as possible. That means that the hearing aids have been programmed properly to your hearing loss prescription, which means that you would hear your best. And as you can see, we are missing the mark when it comes to matching his prescriptive target, which means that no, he is not getting the full amount of benefit out of these hearing aids. So basically, I don't care how much money you save on hearing aids, going to Costco or buying online or whatever, if these hearing aids are not programmed right, you just threw money away. And so that was the first case. The second case is even worse. This individual wants to hear soft speech, right? She's like, I feel like I hear okay, but I really can't hear soft speech that well. So I'm like, okay, let's take you through testing, identify what your prescription is. Okay, your prescription is very similar to what it was when you were at Costco, because when we ran the checks on her hearing aids from Costco, we could see that the thresholds were very similar. These hearing aids are only a couple months old at this point. Ran test box measures, everything's good there. So I'm like, why wouldn't this individual who clearly needs hearing aids, why wouldn't this individual be getting benefit from her Costco devices? Well, we set her up for real ear verification, and what did we find? Well, we find that not only is she significantly under her prescriptive target for average level speech, we also identified that she's even further below her prescriptive target for soft level speech. Basically, she probably doesn't even need to be wearing these hearing aids because they're providing no benefit. And she even voiced this to the Costco provider and said, I'm not getting any benefit out of these hearing aids. And they didn't do anything to improve it. It's more of the like, well, just give your brain time to adjust because your brain needs time to adjust to new hearing aids and then things will start sounding better. And I'm like, I get it, like your brain does need to adjust to hearing aids, but your brain does not just adjust to hearing aids that are not programmed the right way. Like if you're so under-programmed in a pair of hearing aids, you can wear them for the rest of your life and you're never gonna adjust to them because you're literally not getting any auditory stimulation from them. On the other hand, if they're egregiously over-programmed and they're over your prescriptive targets, you're just gonna be walking around wincing at sounds all day long and they're gonna sound like crap. So like, here's the thing. There is also a lot of good Costco providers out there, presumably, as long as they are following comprehensive best practices. And I highly question, given the amount of issues that I see come in from Costco, that they are. They all do real ear measurement. We all talk about like, oh, well, they do real ear measurement, so that means they're following best practices. Real ear measurement is one part of best practices. There is a whole variety of other things that need to be done to follow comprehensive best practices. Real ear measurement also can be performed, but if you don't perform it well, it doesn't matter. Real ear verification is the gold standard of verification to make sure that you actually did your job the right way. But you can run it and not make any adjustments or not make the appropriate adjustments to the programming of the hearing aids, and they end up sounding like crap, or they end up not giving you any benefit. And then you end up in a clinic like mine where I'm like, hey, here's the problem. I guess go tell them what they did wrong. And then you have the patient trying to tell the provider like, hey, here's what this other provider identified in the programming, and they said that you need to do this and adjust it at 250 hertz. Between 250 and 500 hertz, you need to go up 18 decibels. And between 3,000 and 6,000 hertz, you need to go up 25 decibels. Like, I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? So this is the issue that I have, and it's not just with Costco, like I explained. The first case study that I talked about in this video was at a private practice audiology clinic, and one that I would presume to be a decent clinic, at least, at the bare minimum. So like, it really just comes down to you making sure that your provider is doing the right thing. And I know that it sucks that I have to say this because like it's their job to do their job the right way. And if they just follow comprehensive best practices, 99.9% of the time, you're gonna get your optimal outcome with hearing treatment. But if they cut one corner, if they don't do one test box measure, if they don't actually measure compression to ensure that your soft level speech is boosted enough to make it audible for you, you're gonna end up not having good success with hearing treatment. Your success is going to decline. And why would you not want to hear your absolute best with hearing treatment? I'm not saying you have to come to my clinic to get this. You can go to clinics, just go to hearingup.com and print out the best practice checklist so you know what they should be doing when you go in for your evaluations and for your treatment and all of that. The whole reason I started my channel is so you can make better informed decisions. Now, I think that you're able to do that. I've got 700, 800 videos on my channel talking about all the different things that hearing care professionals should be doing to make sure that you get the best outcome possible, because you know what? You deserve it. I'm definitely ranting really hard today. I don't even know how long this video is. This has probably got to be 20 minutes or so at this point, and I apologize for that. I also want to apologize to all the excellent hearing care professionals who work in private practices and who work at Costco's, because if you're doing things the right way, I appreciate you, and your patients appreciate you, and you're a rock star. So that is pretty much all that I have to say for today. I apologize again for missing my vlog last week. That vlog is already recorded and I have it ready to go for whenever that moment it's released. That announcement is made here in early March. So just make sure that you pay attention to the channel. I can't remember if I asked you to like and subscribe to the channel, but that does help me out immensely, and I will see you next week.